Welcome to this tutorial in which I'm going to be teaching you guys in the Geometry Dash 2.2 editor how to save variables that are very important for cutscenes. If you want to save a bunch of variables or items or anything else between attempts. So for example, let's say I have a platformer level and the level is very long and I don't want to put checkpoints in my level, and let's say there is a key, and if you grab this key, there's going to be a long cutscene that is basically going to show you that, for example, there's like a door up here that can be opened. So basically the camera moves there and goes back. But once you die and recollect this, it should no longer show you the cutscene, even though you have not put a checkpoint there whatsoever. And this is important for platformer levels and also for classic levels. For example, this is something that I have never seen anybody use yet. And it's, you know how some levels just have a key at the beginning for LDM, low detail mode, and you can make it so that you grab it once, and once you die, it just activates on the next attempt instantly, so you don't have to like recollect it on the second attempt. We're all gonna do that today using the new item persist trigger. This is a very important and a very helpful trigger when it comes to making levels enjoyable, because you probably don't want to grab this LDM key 100 times every time you die, and you also don't want to watch any cutscenes if you can. So today we are going to be doing that. I would say let's actually, now that was just a small template in here, but I would say let's just use that for a cutscene. Let's say I want to make it so that once you grab this key, there's going to be a cutscene. This is like also a tutorial for a cutscene for you guys. So the first thing you want to do is place something. Place like an item. It can be anything really. And then you're going to go to edit special, make it toggle trigger. Then you want to choose a new group ID. It's going to be 1. And then you're going to put the 1 in here and make it enable group. And that's all you need for now, and for the key. And next up, what you want to do is you want to add a static trigger and give the lock a group ID, for example 2, and we're gonna make the camera move towards 2 in about like a second or so. And we're gonna, yeah, that's it, just ease in and out. And now if you play the level, you're gonna see that the camera is gonna move there. But in order to make this trigger activate, once the key has been collected, you need to grab this and make it group ID 1, and also make it a spawn triggered. And also, if you take a look at the key, you can see that it toggles group ID 1, which is this trigger. You just gotta make sure to put it on spawn trigger. And now nothing happens really. However, if you collect the key, boom, you have that. However, there is a problem, because you see that after I grab the key, you can still die, you can still move and stuff like that, which is not very cool. And also the camera does not go back, so we're gonna have to fix that real quick. And we're gonna be using the new system that is in the spawn trigger, which is called spawn ordered. It's very simple. It's basically just like a bunch of triggers being activated after each other depending on how far they are from each other. So basically just like a normal level in normal mode. And for example, let's say I want to disable the controls for the player, and then I want to move the camera there. I want to open the door and then bring the camera back. Okay, so for this, I'm just going to grab this whole door with the lock and give it a group ID of 3. And now you want to specify that from here to, let's say, to here, the camera is moving. And then next up, we want to move the door, which we have given the group ID of 3. You're going to select here 3. And then we're going to move it by, let's say, 40, and let's give it a cool, nice little like that. Yeah, takes like a second to move. And once it's done, you want to grab the static and copy and paste it in here to the end of this line. Also, this line can be enabled in the duration lines in here, so you can see how long a trigger is lasting. So yeah, once that finishes, what you want to do is you want to exit the static in a very smooth way also. So now you have these 3 triggers. You want to move the camera there, and then you want to open the door, and then you want to bring back the camera. So you grab all of the triggers, you click on edit object, and you make them all spawn triggered, every single one of them. And then what you want to do is you want to go to all 3 again and give them the group ID of 1, which is the one that's selected in here. However, there is a little bit of a problem because if you have triggers like that, all of them are going to be activated at the exact same time, which is going to lead to a little bit of an issue. Yeah, so the camera moved there and then came back instantly and the door opened. But we don't want that. We want everything to happen in order. And to do that, you just use a simple spawn trigger and you spawn all of these groups instead of having them being spawned from the key. And instead from the key, you want to spawn this trigger, which is the spawn trigger, and make sure to do this also on the spawn trigger, and also spawn order. This is very important. This is basically what we want. So now if I grab the key, we move the camera, door open, go back. Nice. Okay, perfect. This is a little recap to tell you guys exactly what happened in case I was like too fast or anything. So the key activates group 4. Group 4 is this one, and this one activates group 1 in a spawned ordered way, which means they are just gonna go from left to right as if this was a classic mode level. And all of these are set to group 1, and they are also on spawn triggered, so they're gonna be set like that. So now we also want to disable the movements for the guy, for the player. So what you want to do is, if you want to set this to group 1, stuff like that, I would just click here, copy values, click on the new trigger that you just added, and just click paste values, and then it's just gonna adopt every single group ID that you have. And now you want to go to edit in here and disable the player 1 controls. And here's the cutscene, door opening, and then we have the camera off. So we want to have it somewhere in here where the animation is basically done. I would rather put it a little bit before that because you can already see the player. So now we want to turn the disable P1 controls off. However, you also have to select these and make them spawn triggered. Always very, very important. And now I'm clicking right, right, nothing happens. And now something happens. Okay, nice. Alright, so now we want to do it so that if you die without having to check a checkpoint, for example, the door is still going to be opened and the key should be collected already. So we're going to do that real quick. And to do that, you want to set variables. You can set variables to see what's going on in the game, what has already happened and what has not already happened. And I'm just going to place this one. This one shows you exactly what's going on. So we're just going to click on it and put it in here, make it edit special, and go to an item ID of 1. Go to an item ID that has not been used in your level. Let's just use 1 for me. And yeah, you can ignore all of these guys. You don't really need them. And now what you want to do is, once the door has been opened, once you have collected the key, you want to also increase this value, which by default is 0, to 1. You want to make it 1. So like I said, we want this to happen at the beginning of the door opening. So copy values, paste state, and now it's on group 1. And now you want to, this is the item ID, the one that you used in here, and just make it so that 1, 1 overwrite. So it sets the value to exactly 1. Also make sure to make it spawn. And now you can see that it's 0, and once you collect, it's going to go to 1. And this is very, very important, my dudes, because we're going to use the item persist also to make this stay like that. So, okay, this is just a small, I'm just going to show you exactly what was going on. So you want to make this item persist trigger item ID 1, which is this one. And then you also want to make it persistent. You want to make it spawn triggered and copy value paste so that it's on group 1. And now if I play it in here, you can see that it's 0. Now if I collect the key, it's 1. However, if I restart, it's still gonna be 1. So that's very important. Now we can manipulate the game on the second attempt to check, is the value 1 or not? Have you already opened the door? Now that the value is the same across all the attempts, we can do that. So we're just gonna place an item compare in here. It looks very complicated. I know I've already made like a whole tutorial on this. But for now, we only need the item number 1, and we want to check if it's equal to 1. That's all, literally, just 2 buttons in here, and we are done. Also, now we don't need spawn triggered yet. So what you want to do is you want to check if the item ID 1 is already 1, which by default it isn't unless you grab the key. And if it is, you want to activate the next regroup, which is 5. You want to put it in here. So if this value is true, 5 is going to happen. And 5 is, you don't really have to set it to 5 because you have to specify what you want, what you really want. So for this door opening, if you grab the key, we want to obviously move the camera and then open the door and then bring it back. However, if you die and then restart, we don't want to move the camera. We don't want to do any of this stuff. So what you want to do is just grab the things that are important. The things that shouldn't happen once you restart the level. For example, you shouldn't move the camera there. You shouldn't disable the player controls. You shouldn't do the pickup stuff. All we need is just this move trigger to make sure that this door has been opened. And also we want to remove this key, which we're going to do in a second. But let's just for now make the door move up if you have already collected the key in a different attempt. So what we want to do here is make this silent. I just copied the same one and make it a group ID of 5. So on the next attempt, every attempt you come here is going to check, have you already collected the key? And if you have, it's going to move the door upwards instantly. And we also want to disable the key, which I think is very simple. You just click on here, give it the ID of 6, and now you add a toggle trigger. We're going to toggle 6 on spawn, copy values, paste values, and boom. Now we have a functioning thingy. I'm just going to add a bunch of things in here to make it, so that you can actually see what the heck is going on up there. And yeah, something like this perhaps. So now I'm on my first attempt, everything pretty cool. Wow, door opening, that's pretty cool. Now I can go, oops, I died, and now this is the second attempt. And you can see everything is perfect. However, I'm so dumb that I forgot to make this passable. And this one was passable, but it's probably better to have it like that, yeah. So yeah, the first attempt, you have to grab the key, and then the value is set to 1. And the next attempt, you come here, there is no key, and the door is already open. This is very, very good. However, you saw that the key existed for the first maybe like second or something, and this is because the item compare is put in here. So you want to just put it behind this line. This is the line where the level starts. So every trigger that's behind this line is going to take action before the level even begins. So you want to check before the level even begins, before the attempt already begins, if the key was already collected or not, which we should do for this case. So now I collect the key and door opening, and now I die. You can see that on launch, boom, everything just like I did it without a checkpoint whatsoever, which is very, very nice. You can also just get rid of this, I think you can get rid of this. Do you? I'm not quite sure actually. Let me just see. So if I collect the key, and I think you should be able to just not have it. Yeah, you can just not have this object. This was just to show you guys that the value that, once you grab the key, it's going to be 1, and on the next attempt, it's still going to be 1 because you have already collected it in a different attempt. And this is all thanks to this item persistent trigger, which allows you to basically keep the same values across multiple attempts, which I really like using, especially if you have a lot of cutscenes and you don't want to use checkpoints. You can use this to store values on what has happened. So for example, item ID 1 is if the door has already opened, and then you can add like a platform moving or a button or a switch that you have already clicked or not. And depending on that, you can, manipulate the game on the next attempts and make it according to your wish. I think that's very, very cool. And let's quickly do the LDM. Okay, let's quickly do the LDM. And let's say these ones are on high detail. Okay, let's see, this one is 7. I know you can make it in here high detail. Let's just make like an extra low detail mode inside the level in case your level is huge. So what you want to do is you want to put like any item really. I'm just going to use this key, and I'm just going to make it spawn group 8. So the same thing, 8 being spawned, and what 8 actually, now that these guys have been selected to 7, we can toggle 7. We want to toggle 7 on a spawn triggered after you collect the key. So this one has to be 8, and now this one triggers that one, and this one toggles off these guys. However, what you also want to do is you want to use the item persist trigger yet again to save the value. And I can again also place this guy so you guys can see. And you have to use the next item ID because item ID 1 was already for the door opening. So this one we're going to use 2. And yeah, Just make it 2. And you want to make item ID 2 persistent when you collect the key. And now you can see that I think it should work now. Let's just, yeah. So these guys are not toggled, and now I collect the key and they are toggled now. And yeah, I forgot to make the value increase. So you just have to grab a pickup and go to item 2 in here, make it override. Just override basically means just set the value to exactly that. Because if you do this, it's gonna add 1. And this is gonna like subtract 2. So we want to override, we're gonna just make it 1. So now, I think now it should work. So now if you see, this is all high detail mode. Now if I collect it, this one goes to 1. And now if I come again, it's still 1. So that's perfect. Now the only thing we need is an item compare, which is gonna do exactly this toggle trigger. It's just gonna toggle these guys. We don't need any of these guys. So we're gonna make this one group 9. And we're gonna simply check if the item ID 2 is equal to 1. And if it is, we're simply gonna activate group 9, which in this case is just gonna toggle these guys. And boom, look at this, guys. Now we have a value of 0, you know, everything very, very cool. And now I wanna grab the key, and now it's 1. And you can see that there are no blocks in there. And now there are still no blocks in there. And you can also make this key disappear if you really want to. You can just set it to 7. So once you grab it, it also calculates as like a high detail object. So now if you restart, there is no key. Low detail has already been activated. And the door, same thing. If you collect it, you're gonna go up, and then now you don't have to collect anything. The door is open, no cutscenes, no checkpoints whatsoever. This is brilliant. This trigger is really, really helpful. So I hope this tutorial video was also helpful for you guys. I might also upload, yes, let's actually upload this item persist door opening thingy. You guys know what this is. So yeah, I'm just gonna upload this as unlisted. Just gonna make it a demon, and I'm just gonna upload it like that, and boom. So you guys go check that out, and I hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to slap that like button if you did, and also subscribe if you learned something new, and let me know what you guys think, or what you guys want me to do next. Or do you guys have any ideas for any new tutorials? I have a lot in mind, but I want to see which ones you guys think are the most important ones for you guys for now. And yeah, thank you a lot for watching, and make sure to also, yeah, follow me on Twitch, follow me on Twitter. I make a lot of tutorials on this channel. Also, I have my main channel. It's also pretty cool. I upload a lot there. And what else do I have? Yeah, I don't know. GD 2.2 is very cool. More tutorials coming, and I will see you guys in the next